research and discovery. Futurists.
This is Cologne Cathedral, Germany's biggest, and home to an abundance of colourful treasure.
Glass painting is a key element in European Gothic architecture. Less stone is used in the construction of the walls, and the spaces are filled with stained glass. These windows show many figures and parables which held symbolic value for the faithful. When one looks at them, you see how the churchgoers felt surrounded and protected by the saints, and the precious material adds to the aura.
However, the art historian says that these priceless European artworks have a hidden, fragile nature.
Mittelalterliche Gläser, also mindestens bis ins späte 15.
Stained glass from the Middle Ages until the late 15th century present their own problems. Because of their special makeup, they use the materials of the time, not at all like today's glass. The glass is attacked by moisture as well as other harmful substances.
Durch Feuchtigkeit in Verbindung mit Schadstoffen besonders angegriffen werden.
ULRIKE works in a team of 13 to restore the glass to its former glory. The glass itself, pollution, and sometimes previous conservation techniques all work against the restorer, and existing conservation methods are far from perfect.
Es ist natürlich für einen Restaurator mal ein bisschen schwierig zu sagen, ich muss es jetzt nehmen.
It's a bit difficult for the restorer to say we must use that product to protect the glass, knowing in a few decades the material will change.
Es ist immer so ein bisschen so eine Abwägungssache.
We use techniques that are not the best. We can do better, but we rely on research and scientific development.
Da hoffen wir natürlich auf die Forschung und auf die Weiterentwicklung in der Wissenschaft.
That's the aim of the European research project, Constglas. It's a place where research is carried out to assess the health of the stained glass while working on new restoration techniques. Some 200 kilometers from Cologne, chemists and physicists analyze samples with modern techniques like red spectroscopy. Firstly, the researchers check the damage due to corrosion, chemical attack, fungus and humidity in both the glass and in previous restoration materials.
The historic stained glass windows are important for our shared European history, and this project is a unique opportunity to analyse the materials used in the restoration of stained glass over the last 30 years and to discover if the attempts were successful. We can gather information which will help us to avoid the problems faced by glass in France and England and other European countries. We can then remove materials and replace them with others we have developed here.
New restoration products are developed and applied to the surface of the glass. Electron microscopes are then used to see if the techniques halt the erosion. Researchers can then test the new methods at a chemical level and see how effective they are and if they can be reversed.
Wir können mit diesem Gerät sehr hochauflösend arbeiten.
We can work with this microscope with a very high resolution, so that we can observe the very small structures. This is important to visualize the fine cracks of the glass. You can see it here in this image. Here you can recognize the cracks that we are interested in, and the newly developed consolidation material will fill these cracks.
Beschichtungsmaterial eindringen.
Further research is being carried out in the Belgian city of Ghent, which is home to many stunning stained glass windows like these at St. Bavon's Cathedral. At the University of Ghent, physicists used tomography to unveil the morphology of a sample of stained glass from the 13th century, restored 20 years ago.
We can investigate if the sample is globally damaged or just in small parts of the object. And because we are able to also investigate the inside structure, we can also study if the damage has gone deep into the object or just marginally to the outer surface of the object. In this case, we can see that the glass itself is very homogeneous, but there are a few air inclusions inside. And then here on the outer edge, you can see starts of corrosion. The corrosion layer has a certain thickness, which is in this case relatively limited.
Researchers can also understand how old and new restoration methods behave between the layers of glass.
The technique provides us with information on the weathering crust. How thick is the weathering crust? Is it still sticking to the glass or not? Is it flaking off from the glass? Another example is most of the time during conservation, pieces of glass have been put together with glue or with consolidants to consolidate them, to keep them together. And also these consolidants and these glues, exposed to external weathering conditions, they deteriorate.
And these measurements provide priceless information for the restorers.
Die Erkenntnisse, auch die Bilder, die analytischen Untersuchungen.
The knowledge and the images we provide the analytical research, the knowledge of the material and the transformation of the material guides us in our work.
Dass sie die alltägliche Arbeit durchaus mit Vorsicht bestimmen.
Stained glass windows testify the skills of the craftsmen that made these glass stained windows in the 13th century, 14th century. So I think if there is a very expression of the European integration and of the European cultural spirit, I think it's in stained glass windows. We should do everything we can to preserve this for the future.